This is the Blueprint Athletes Basketball Podcast. My name is John Horford, here with Big Bad Josh, the producer.
Appreciate it, bro. Love it.
If you have SoundCloud, go check out some beats, some of the work done by Big Bad Josh. You might like it. You might hate it. You might love it. I hope you love it.
Yeah, me too. You'll love it.
You'll love it.
You'll love it.
You'll love it. All right. So today we're going to talk about the balance between skill training and just playing. Right? Before I get into it too much, what do you think, Josh? What's the proper balance? Is one way better than the other?
I would not say so, no.
Really?
I think you got to balance it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I've seen with the kids that we train and stuff.
That's fair. That's fair to say. I'm so pro skill training that, it's hard for me to not say that skill training's better. I think it can be more beneficial, right? But you have to have the right mentality.
Yeah.
Right? You have to, know how to implement what you do in skill training into the game, right? You have to be competitive. You have to work hard. Like, there's this, almost like a dog mentality when people are like, oh, that person's a dog. Like that just competitor who won't quit, who goes hard no matter what. And I feel like a big disconnect between skill training and playing a lot of times is kids think that just because they do skill training that it's going to make playing super easy.
Yep.
Right? And in a sense, it becomes easier because you become more skilled and more used to something. Just like anything becomes easier the more you do it, right? Most things that we start out, like driving, for example, like most kids when they start out driving, they're super nervous and holding the wheel with both hands and turning super slow and, and then as you get more used to it, now you get in your car, you don't even think.
Yeah.
Right? And
just automatic.
It's just automatic, right? So the same with basketball and skill training, kids who expect, oh, it's just going to be so much easier, it will be easier because you'll be more skilled and capable of more things, but you still have to compete, right? There's a certain competitiveness and, mentality that most players who make it to a high level have, right? And it's displayed in different ways. It doesn't mean you have to be crazy,
Right.
You don't have to be, screaming and throwing people and, just a monster in that sense, but you have to be disciplined, right? Discipline is competitiveness, to a certain extent in the sense that, are you disciplined enough to, close out every time? Are you tough enough to, want to defend every time, even though you missed your last 4 shots, right? And still make things tough for the other person? Are you disciplined enough to crash the glass when you're supposed to crash the glass? Are you disciplined enough to hit someone on a box out? Are you disciplined enough, or do you want it enough to dive on the floor and get that loose ball, right? Are you disciplined enough to, catch, rip low, and protect the ball and attack the basket versus just catching and turning with the ball open to the defender and letting them slap the ball? You know what I mean?
All right.
Just little things like that. That can be just doing things the right way and being disciplined can just be a sign of you being competitive. So I really feel like there is a balance. I lean more towards, if you really had to pick to do one more than the other, I would say do more skill work.
Yeah.
And then when you play, go hard, right? But there are good lessons learned from playing, and there's a different stimulus while playing. So you can do, skill work every single day of the week, and you will improve your skills, improve your shot, improve your footwork, improve your balance, all of that. But when someone's pressuring you and getting up into you and pushing you and talking shit to you,
right,
and, you're nervous because there are more people on the court and, you're thinking, oh, I don't want to miss, or I don't want to look dumb, or I don't want to mess up, or I don't want to throw the ball out of bounds, right? So you're experiencing something completely different, right? And I feel like it's important for players to, one, be strong enough mentally to not worry about making those mistakes. Just worry about, I literally, we've talked about it in the past, but just, have a good attitude, work on doing the best that you can,
Right.
you know, just do the best that you can do.
Yeah. You're gonna have to accept that you're gonna mess up every now and then
Exactly.
and be
It's
okay
going to
with it.
happen.
Yeah.
It's inevitable. Got to move past it. Got to let it go. Got to stop caring about what other people think, right? Because
Mhm.
it's just going to hold you back. But so getting into those games and playing through that, getting used to that, I feel like it is, very important. But I also feel like there's a way to play the game that allows players to benefit from it more than just going out there and mindlessly playing like pickup, right? With 10 million dribbles, and like you can play in a more structured way. So for example, like when our kids play, I put a 3 dribble limit on everything. So you can take 3 dribbles and then you have to do something, right? If you pass to someone and you get it back, you have 3 more dribbles,
Yep.
right? But you have a 3 dribble limit. Whatever you want to get done, you need to get it done in that time. And then other times we'll put like a time limit on the amount of time that someone can hold the ball. So like a 2 to 3 second limit, to where if you don't dribble, shoot, or pass in 2 to 3 seconds, it's just a turnover.
Right.
It's just a turnover. Like, and I know that that's not always. It's like, oh, I'm a point guard and I'm gonna have the ball for 6 seconds. It's like whatever. What I'm trying to instill is a sense of urgency, right? You don't want to just stay in there and do nothing. Like, act,
Right.
move, play quicker. And yeah, you're going to struggle with it at first, but eventually it's going to help you to be more used to reacting, to doing something quicker, to being aware of what's going on in the game around you, right? And from there, I feel like it just makes you a more self-aware basketball player, which I feel like is important to a certain extent, right? And then because not only if you play with both those, not only are you having to be aware of, the time constraint, you have to be aware of, a dribble limit, and then not only that, you have to be able to do something constructive, you know, within those restraints of
Mhm.
time and dribble limit. And most players end up figuring out how to like flow and move and cut and, you know, be efficient with their dribbles and their pump fakes and their pass fakes and their screens and
Reading
all that.
defenders
And
and
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So I mean, it makes you a better basketball player versus just going out there and just, mindlessly, dribbling the ball 10,000 times and throwing up garbage shots and
Catching and holding and
dude, catching and holding is,
that's the worst.
that's one of my big pet peeves versus
Mhm.
just catching, attack, drive the closeout, do something, make the defense shift in some way.
Right.
Don't let it be easy for the defense. Don't let players just like when they can just stand around and do nothing, like make them think, make them act, make them move, right? So another thing that I think about a lot when I think about playing is just I feel like younger kids, and I hate being like, I don't want to be the guy who's like, back in my day, but I feel like younger kids a lot of times, especially the kids that we work with, right, are afraid to play basketball with older players, right? And when they do, they're just like full of excuses instead of just like competing. Oh,
Mhm.
well, you're older, you're stronger, whatever. And it's like, dude, get out of here. Like when I was growing up, I used to play at Aim High and in Lansing with older players, and I'm sure I complained and did whatever, and and said that same stuff, similar stuff to those kids. But you go out there and you compete and you play hard and
Mhm.
you get knocked down and you get hit and you get hurt and like, dude. And then like when I go to like Lansing and play, like I used to play at Walter French, like, dude, you're not calling fouls.
Nah.
You're not calling fouls. Like
Mm-mm.
you're not calling travel. You're not calling double dribble. You're not calling anything.
Right.
You're just playing through it, right? Or someone's gonna try to beat your ass probably.
Yeah.
Like seriously,
Yeah.
you're like a freaking 11-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid, and it's just like, ugh, I don't want to deal with that, right? It's just,
Dudes aren't playing around.
dude. But you learn how to play against people who know more than you, or who are more skilled than you, or
Mm-hmm.
stronger than you, right? You find a way. You know that you have to compete, or that you're just gonna get destroyed. And I feel like too many players have that mentality where they give up. It's just like, oh, whatever, I can't do it, or it's not working out. Instead of just fighting, finding a way, finding a way. And dude, especially like when like the gyms, I feel like at least in the Lansing area aren't as packed as they used to be. But
Mm-mm.
dude, when I was growing up playing pickup at like Aim High and stuff, or even at the park, dude, there are so many people who would come, and if you lost, you weren't gonna play for like another hour.
Yeah.
You weren't gonna play for a while. You're just gonna sit there, or you're gonna go home. Like a lot of kids, if they lost, they just go home, right? But so you had to be competitive. Like, how badly do you want to stay on this court? Or, how you playing well and competing hard and going all out would, you know, would earn you like a reputation. So then maybe a team who's coming on next wants to pick you up, right?
Right.
Like, you know, it's something that you have to earn, but it's something that I feel like makes you better because you are used to that stimulus. So you're not just, like in training, you're shooting wide open shots, which I think is absolutely necessary, right? To get the reps up, get the reps up, get the reps up, especially doing like, the right things, consistently getting the reps up, and then consistently doing whatever you're doing, trying to get better at the same way. But it's a little different, when you're fatigued from playing and running up and down and you're on game 3 and you've literally got chucked or trucked to the ground multiple times, and
Mm-hmm.
there's someone who hits your arm every single time you shoot, right? And if you even try to say foul, he's in your face like, oh, bro, what? Get your ass, bro. Like,
That's all that shit out of here.
yeah, for sure, right? They, contesting every single one of your shots,
Mm-hmm.
right? Other people on the floor pressuring you to like, hey, don't shoot that shot. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. Give me the ball. Right. So there are all these factors that you're dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I feel like too many people are shying away from that stuff instead of letting it help them to grow and to become, better basketball players. And obviously not everyone, because there's still, kids who play in situations like that all the time with older, more talented, people. But the kids, the players who embrace that, right, who allow it to light a fire within them, makes them play harder, right, makes them, I got to find a way. I'm going to find a way. Like, even if I'm not capable right now of doing what I want to do or what I know I'm capable of doing based off of, what I do consistently, like in skill work, I'm going to find a way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep fighting, right? I'm not going to give up, right? That mentality is priceless, right? So when people talk about like, there are too many players who just want to, look sweet in, skill work, or, they got a trainer, blah, 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 but they can't, you know, produce in a similar way, or produce in the way that you would think they'd be able to produce,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in game, whether it's pickup or, a structured game, or, an official game. That's all mentality, right?
Right.
Am I crazy?
Nah.
It's all mentality.
Yeah.
Like, if you can do it consistently while you're training, there's almost no reason why you can't do it in the game, right?
Got to train your mindset. Kids don't do that.
You have to train your mindset. And I guess there are some examples, like people will be like, oh, well, what if they have like a really, messed up shot that they can't get off fast enough, so people are just there. It's like, well, there are ways around things like that, right? And that was just the first example that popped into my mind. But like a kid who has like a slower release on his shot, then they need to work on creating separation and finding different ways to get open, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can consistently hit that shot while you're training, there's no reason why you can't consistently hit that shot in the game, right? One of the main factors may be that your shot's getting contested more often. If your shot's getting contested more often, then you need to find a way to get open, right? You need to find a way to create separation, whether that's running or whether that's using screens or whether that's, reading your defender and seeing when they turn their head, like he turns his head, I'm cutting to the basket, or he turns his head and I'm, flashing up towards the ball and catching and shooting,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there are ways to make it work regardless of, what your situation is. But I truly feel like it's important to, develop those skills through training and then focus on implementing them through playing, right? So, like at the end of all of our training sessions, almost all of them, we always play, right? Get the kids playing, get them competing. And one of the things that I hate the most is, or bothers me the most, is just, when you have to force kids to compete
Yeah.
almost against each other. Like it's like neither team, like, whatever. If you win, okay. If you win, okay. It's just like, what's the point of that? What's the point of that for this game, for this sport? Like, so then, like, that's why we have to add things like, losers run.
Yep.
Like, because it's like, oh, well, I don't want to run. And because you don't want to run, now you're going to play hard versus like, I'm going to play hard because not only do I want to get better for myself, I want to help the people around me get better.
Right.
And people want to get good, want the people that they're playing against at their best. Right? It's a weird thing to think of because, like, a lot of times it's like, oh, well, you just want to dominate that person. So you can be like, oh, I'm the best, I'm the best. But I truly feel like people who want to be the best or be really good want the people they're playing at to be at their best.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can just think of, like, a good example because, like, one of the most competitive guys I ever played against, at least when I'm playing against him, was Tristan, right? He's, one of my best friends. We've been friends since we were, young, and, we were about the same size until we got into high school, and, I outgrew him. But the dude, like, sorry to put you on blast a little, Tristan, like, dude, I beat Tristan 50 games in a row, but that dude never stopped. Like, dude, he challenged me every time.
Right.
Like, I never went up against him, and I thought, oh, it's going to be easy. But I was like, this dude is going to, every possession, like, he gave me nothing.
Yeah.
I had to earn everything, right? And you gotta have a crazy amount of respect for people like that, right? No matter what. Like, he was just, I knew I wasn't gonna get an easy layup, an easy jump shot. He might even pick me up at half court, right? Like, seriously, like, he gave me nothing easy anytime we played against each other. And then I get him on my team, and it's a whole nother story. You have that same illness, though. Yeah, because you're similar in that way, too, because we're playing against each other. You're very locked in, very focused. You play harder than you ever play. And then when we're playing, like, on the same team, you and Tristan are like, you guys, like, turn into completely different people. I'm like, where's that animal?
I don't know about all that.
Where's that animal I was just playing against? Like, dude, yeah, you guys do. I've been calling you guys out on that for years.
You're right, man. It's fun playing against someone competitive.
Yeah, and I'm crazy competitive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, developing that mentality, like, and obviously, you don't want to take it too far, and I'm definitely guilty of taking it too far.
Mm-hmm.
But, dude, just, I can't imagine, like, there's never been a time in my life, like, even in practices on any level, where it's like someone had to get me to, like, compete,
Right.
So it's so strange to me when, even, in coaches, I hear coaches say that all the time. It's like, man, how do I get my team to compete? Dude. And their coaches are like, oh, yeah, you can train that. It's like, you can, but I feel like you do it in other ways, like the running, or, you have push-ups, or we're going to extend practice, right? It's not like an intrinsic, like, I'm competing because I want to win.
Mm-hmm.
I want to win, or I don't want to lose, or because I know this is, the way to get better for me and for my teammates. And that's like the true spirit of competitiveness, not like, oh, I'm competing because if we lose, I have a suicide.
Right.
Or I'm competing because if we lose, I have 50 push-ups. Or I'm competing because, if we don't compete, coach is going to just keep practice going, right? You're competing because you love to compete. And that's a crazy thing. Like, you don't even have to be skilled. Like, I'm going to bring up another friend, right, who's gotten a lot better at basketball. But, dude, even in, like, high school and stuff, when I'd go up to, like, aim high and play,
Gmo?
dude, I'd pick up Gmo. I'd pick up Gmo, Geronimo, because he was not skilled. He couldn't really shoot. He couldn't really finish. But he was going to check up. He was
Mm-hmm.
going to dive on the floor. He was going to hit you. Like, he just played hard. He was a competitor. And now his skills, he actually has skills now because he's been doing it for years.
Yeah.
But he was only a football player at the time. Dude, I pick him up every time
Mm-hmm.
because he was going to compete. Like, you don't have to be amazingly skilled to have an impact on the basketball court.
Yep.
You don't. You just have to play hard and compete and have will. I don't want to lose. I'm going to check you. Even if you score on me next possession, I'm still going to make it hard. I'm going to make it hard on you every single time, right? And that weighs on people mentally. Like, they're going to think about it. Like, when you hit them every single time, you box out every single time, you're diving on the ground, right? You're always having active hands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't slip. You can't let up. Because when you let up on people like that, they take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Right? So you always have to be locked in. Like, they're forcing you to raise your game to another level. Right? I love it.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. But there are so many players out there that will be like, oh, well, I'm not very good at this or that. And it's like, great. Like, you need to work on getting better at that stuff, right? I'm not the type of guy who's going to say, if you want to, right? If you want to be a good basketball player, you need to work on your skills. You need to work on your dribbling. You need to work on your shooting, your driving, your cutting, whatever. But that's no excuse, until you get to that point. It's not an excuse to not play hard,
All right.
to not compete, to not crash the glass, to not dive on the floor for a loose ball, to not have active hands, to not try to do your best to stay in front of a defender, right? Not asking for perfection, just asking for effort. Effort, good attitude, right? Not impossible, right? There are literally, I know some coaches, and I know coaches who truly mean it, and I know coaches who kind of just say it. There are coaches who will be like, hey, whoever the best defender on the team is, I'm playing them. Like, they're playing, they're starting.
Yeah.
Like, they are best defender on the team or best rebounder on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're playing best rebounder on the team. Dude, and rebounds are just, once like, so for rebounding, right? I'll let you in on a tip. Something called the 70-30 rule. 70% of rebounds are going to go opposite of where they were shot, right? So if you can just get to that side on the shot, on the flight of the ball in what we call airtime,
Mm-hmm.
more or less you're going to grab more rebounds,
Yeah.
right? But rebounds, a lot of times, dude, that's just a will thing. Like, you see the ball go up, you crash the glass. Somebody's going to hit you. When they hit you, do you stop and shy away, or do you keep going? You keep charging. Like, do you dive on the floor to get the ball? Like, do you tap the ball out to a teammate? Like, are you putting forth the necessary effort, right? Like, oh, I'm never going to play on this team. It's like, dude, but are you running the floor harder than anyone? Like, are you trying to stay in front of your defender no matter what? Like, you're going to get burned. You're going to get crossed. You might fall. Who cares? What are you doing next possession?
All right.
Are you still going to go just as hard? Like, there are so many ways you can have an impact on the game without having great skill, right? Just by having effort and a little bit of awareness.
Right.
Effort and a little bit of awareness. And just persistence, not giving up, right? It's such a powerful thing. So, yes, I would say skill work, for me personally, is more important. You say it's 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
I say skill work's more important, but there has to be a balance of both. But at the same time, if you're going to play, dude, compete, play hard, and stop having excuses like, oh, I'm not good at this or that. Dude, play hard. Like, you can't not respect a kid who's like, man, that kid's, he's not very skilled, but he does not give up.
All right.
He plays hard. He's trying his best. Like,
He has a good attitude.
he has good attitude. Like, just do those things. It matters so much, and so few players do it because they're like, oh, well, if I'm not good, then why would I try that hard? I'm just going to look dumb. It's like, dude, it's so admirable. Like, I've literally gone to, like, little kids' games because, I train some younger kids. I've seen kids, that are just like, man, that kid's not very good. But, dude, man, that little girl, she plays so hard. Like, she's so competitive.
Mhm.
Or that little boy or whatever. But it's
Yeah.
just like, you can just, when you see it, you know it.
Yeah.
No matter what their skill level is, no matter how much they're messing up, it's like, dude, they're not quitting. They're playing hard. They're doing their best. And there's something so admirable about that.
Yeah.
So don't ever underestimate, right, the impact of you just doing your best and playing hard, because so few kids do it. And if more kids did do it, it would make the game better overall.
Mm-hmm.
It would.
Yeah.
It would. And it will push everyone to be a better version of themselves.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And yeah. Anything else?
No, not really.
Big Bad Josh says not really. So if you want to reach us, you can email us, blueprint.athletes@gmail, or preferably blueprint.athletes@ Instagram. Message us, send us a clip, tell us your story. We'd love to talk to you, love to help. Don't hesitate to reach out. This has been the Blueprint Athletes Basketball Podcast. Thank you for listening.